Shalom, family. This is Brother Elijah, and today we'll be discussing how the unbiblical sun-worshipping cult now known as Christianity was prophesied to rise by the apostles and even by the Messiah himself. And there is one simple truth that cannot be overstated. We have greatly underestimated the wiles of our adversary, Hasatan, and throughout the centuries, he has successfully infiltrated and subverted the church through false doctrine. What we have now is such a low point, such a point of depravity, that there are actual contentions about whether homosexuality should be accepted within the Christian church. And these things were all prophesied long ago. Let's get into it. 2 Timothy chapter 3. Verses 1 through 7. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Elohim, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sin, led away with diverse lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. So in verse 5 there, you see that people will have a form of godliness, but will deny the power or the authority thereof. They would be religious, but when you look into their lives, the religious facade does not hold up against actual scrutiny. And if you go down and focus on verse 7, you see that people will be in the last days always learning, always studying, but never actually coming into the knowledge of the truth. What is the truth? Well, the truth is the word of Yah. So in other words, people were prophesied to be studying everything except the actual scriptures in the last days. And isn't that exactly what you see? People are going everywhere for doctrine except the actual scriptures. And that's why there is so much confusion within Christianity. It also explains why people have strong convictions that are not based on biblical understanding. Zeal, but not according to knowledge. Let's continue reading Timothy now. Now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds, reprobate concerning the faith. Quick pause here. Jannes and Jambres, those are Pharaoh's court magicians, the fellows who turned their staves into snakes just like Moses. Continuing, but they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as theirs, being Jannes and Jambres, also was. But thou hast fully known my doctrine, manner of life, purpose, faith, long-suffering, charity, patience, persecutions, afflictions, which came unto me at Antioch, at Iconium, at Lystra, what persecutions I endured, but out of them all the Adonai delivered me. Yeah, and all that will live godly in Yeshua HaMashiach shall suffer persecution. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. You're seeing this happen in real time. So let's jump to the next chapter of Timothy and get another prophetic precept. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 1 through 4. I charge thee therefore before Elohim and the Adonai, Yeshua HaMashiach, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, and they shall turn away their ears from hearing the truth, and shall be turned unto fables. They shall be turned unto fables. Fables that contradict sound biblical doctrine. Let's get into some examples. You don't need to keep the Sabbath or the dietary laws. Or, in the case of Creflo Dollar's crazy doctrine, you don't even need to honor the 10 Commandments. All this madness that you're seeing right now in these last days, it was all prophesied, Yisrael. So let's go to 1 Timothy and gain some additional understanding on this concept. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies in hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. That probably sounds like your greedy, pig meat eating Sunday preacher, right? Continuing. Forbidding to marry. That sounds like the Catholic Church, right? Forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats, which Elohim hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. For every creature of Elohim is good, and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving, for it is sanctified by the word of Yah and prayer. Let's take a moment here and look at this word for meats. In Greek, it's broma. Broma. It actually means food in a broader sense. This is actually a rebuke of the doctrine of asceticism, which was widely practiced in Colossae. People overemphasize things like fasting and begin to forbid people from eating. This verse is not about Paul advocating the consumption of unclean foods, which most Christians fail to understand because they are unstudied in the Torah. The Messiah and the apostles are never found eating pig meat in the text, as that would make the prophecy of Isaiah 66 and 17 a lie. When Yah returns to the earth, he's going to find people eating pig meat, and he's going to burn them alive with fire. Go and read Isaiah 66 and 17. Don't let a pig meat eater say that pork is okay to eat. That's a lie. Back to the text. Verse 6. If thou put the brethren in remembrance of these things, thou shalt be a good minister of Yehoshua HaMashiach, nourished up in the words of faith and of good doctrine, whereunto thou hast attained. But refuse profane and old wives' fables, and exercise thyself rather unto godliness. Paul saw people bringing in these crazy false doctrines in the days of the early church, and he actually pronounced a curse on those who would come along and pervert the true gospel. Let's get into that. Galatians chapter 1, verses 6 through 9. I marvel that ye are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Christ unto another gospel, which is not another, but there be some that trouble you and would pervert the gospel of Christ. But though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. As we said before, so say I now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that which you have received, let him be accursed. Peter is emphatically warning the members of the early church to be on guard against false teachings. I would remind you that during this time, they didn't have the so-called New Testament. All they had was the Old Testament from which to gain doctrine. So anyone who comes along preaching against keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments in the Old Testament, let them be accursed. Paul further warns against false teachers in 2 Corinthians. Let's go ahead and read that. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 13 through 15. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. It's not a new thing to have people coming in the name of the Messiah and teaching all kinds of crazy doctrine, Yisrael. It's not new. So when we stand up in these last days and tell you that these pig meat eating Sunday preachers are leading our people to hell, we can prove it in the text. Stand on it, because their rise was prophesied 2,000 years ago. This is just another fulfillment of prophecy. T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen, Creflo Dollar, Eddie Long. Any of these teachers that do not adhere to Torah are accursed, and their end shall be according to their works. Let's see their end as prophesied by the Messiah himself. Okay? Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23. Not every one that saith unto me, Adonai, Adonai, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Adonai, Adonai, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. See, the Messiah also foresaw the doctrines of modern lawless Christianity. To prove that, let's take a look at the word translated to iniquity in the Greek. Anomia, lawlessness. In other words, a bunch of people will claim to be followers of Yeshua, but will be found in flagrant violation of the Torah. They'll be condemned. Ask your Christian pastor about what this passage means when you see him. Ask him what anomia means while you're at it. 1 John chapter 3 pretty much destroys this idea that you can follow Christ without keeping Torah. Let's get into that. 1 John chapter 3 verses 1 through 8. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of Yah. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not. Beloved, now are we the sons of Yah, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And every man that hath this hope in him purifieth himself, even as he is pure. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. And ye know that he was manifested to take away our sins, and in him is no sin. Whosoever abideth in him sinneth or transgresseth the law not. Whosoever sinneth or transgresseth the law hath not seen him, neither known him. Little children, let no man deceive you. He that doeth righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. So what is the practice of righteousness according to the scriptures? Let's go to Deuteronomy 6:25 and find out. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our Elohim, as he hath commanded us. That's what righteousness is. You don't become righteous by disobeying the law, statutes, and commandments. That's madness. The Bible interprets itself. Back to the text. Verse 8. Here's the backbreaker. He that committeth sin, he that transgresses Torah, is of the devil. For the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of Yah was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. So according to the New Testament, anyone who insists on transgressing the Torah is of the devil. Read that with your pig meat eating Sunday preacher. He might learn something. We are now in the midst of the final revival, Zion. After this last call, judgment is coming. Come out of the false doctrines and return to the Torah and the true faith of the Messiah. This is a call being put out to the true Israelites and the nations alike. Return to the Torah or perish alongside a dying world. Something better is coming, a place where there will be no more tears, no more death, and no more sorrow. The cost of admission to this new world is that you surrender your will to the will of Yah. Keep his commandments and live. Thanks as always for your time, family. I've attached a link to my PayPal account in the video description for those who wish to support the work of the kingdom, and I give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yah and his only begotten Son, Yeshua HaMashiach. I'll see you in the next video, family. Shalom.